Today I'm going to talk about idioms, and I'm gonna define an idiom and explain it to you. Because I made a video earlier that was about slang, and idioms can be a part of slang, but there's something different. They don't have to be slang. A lot of people think they do, but they're not. So the linguistic definition of what an idiom is an idiom is a group of words whose meanings cannot be predicted from the meanings of the individual words. So you have a group of words, and each word has an individual meaning. But when you put these group of words together, it has a meaning that is completely different. For instance, my grandpa always uses an idiom, and my grandpa's the type of guy who likes to joke around all the time, make jokes, kid around, that type of thing. And the idiom he always uses, he'll go, "Oh, I'm just pulling your leg." And in English, if someone's pulling your leg, that means they're joking with you, they're kidding with you. So that's an example of an idiom, because you don't actually think, or the native speaker wouldn't actually think that someone was literally pulling her on his leg. They know that it's just kidding. And there's a lot of idioms like this in English. I think English has a lot. And I'll put below in the description box, I'll put a link to English idioms. It's like a big list of English idioms for people that are learning English. Because idioms are pretty important to know, because if you don't know very many idioms, you're going to be confused a lot in language, no matter what language you're learning. And it has a lot on there, a lot that, people know. A lot of native speakers English would know, be able to recognize. But yeah, like I said, pulling your leg, that's an idiom. That means just to kid around or to joke around. Let's see if I can think of any more. One that a lot of Americans know too is pushing up daisies. When someone is pushing up daisies, that means they're dead. They're dead. It doesn't literally mean that they're pushing up daisies. It means they're dead. So that's another example of an idiom. And I also have this book of German idioms. Like I said, it's important to know idioms in whatever language you're learning. So this is a book of German idioms, and I'll give you a couple examples. Let's see. One German idiom that I think is pretty funny is, in German, if you say that somebody has a bird, if you say they have a bird, that means they're crazy. Like if you say, "Oh, mein Lehrer, hat ein Vögel." My teacher, he has a bird. That means my teacher is crazy. My teacher, he's crazy. He's crazy. Or, let me think of another one. Oh, in German, if you say something is for the cat, that means it's a waste. It's for nothing. So you'd say, "Ich fühle, dass mein Leben für die Katze ist." You'd be like, "I feel that my life is for the cat." Or in other words, "I feel that my life is for nothing. My life is a waste." That's really dramatic, but it's a funny example. Ich fühle, dass mein Leben für die Katze ist. So, idioms can be fun, and there's something you gotta know because everybody uses them in everyday speech. It's just one of those things. And another language I'm learning, one that I'm really trying to learn right now, is Chinese, Mandarin Chinese. And Chinese is really known for idioms. There's so much idiomatic language in Chinese, and a big reason for that is a lot of the Chinese, when they go to school, they study a lot of old Chinese kind of like books and poetry and literature, and so they all become very familiar with these stories, and they use a lot of examples from these stories. They use like the idioms out of these stories, like they use meanings out of these stories. And I'll show you. Here's a book that I have that's like a Chinese poem book, and it's 粽子300句, or a collection of 300 poems from the Song Dynasty, right here. So they, would study some poems like these, simple, short kind of poems, and from these stories they would kind of like get some idioms. And Chinese is especially known for its idioms that are 4 characters long. They have a lot of idioms that are 4 characters or 4 syllables long, and they're quite famous for it. And I'm going to share a few of those with you. I'm going to say the idiom and say what it really means, and then I'll give you each individual character with the meaning of each character by itself. So the first one that I'm going to do is 洗是九是 and that means to seek truth from facts, to be practical and realistic. Here is another one. 命中注定 decreed by fate, destined, fated. And yep, that would be some Chinese idioms. And I think, like I said, idioms are good to know in general in any language, but especially Chinese, since Chinese has so many idioms. But yeah, in any language you definitely should try to learn some idioms, at least the most commonly used idioms, because without knowledge of idioms you're going to be confused a lot, not when trying to speak but trying to understand. Idioms are really beneficial to understand, but they can be useful if you're talking, but not necessary. But definitely good to know so that you can understand everything. Otherwise you might be lost. Like, what does he mean he's pushing up daisies? Where is he pushing them to? It's just to avoid confusion. And I like using them. I think they're fun to use. So they're fun and practical at the same time. Definitely something you should know.